Okay, let's see if we can get this knuckle motor finished up today. Of course, I said that the last couple of times I worked on it. So we got this thing all rolling through pretty good now. So it works pretty good now. Spins right on through like it's supposed to. No real problem there rotating through anymore. It's nice and free, just like we like it. So the only thing I had was missing the breather. Breather screen here. We had the screen, but we didn't have the retainer, so I went and found the retainer for it up there in my junk stuff, so now I can finish this motor. That was keeping me from finishing it. There's also an oil pressure switch that goes over here. I'm missing two. I'm supposed to have two of them in stock, but I can't find them. Different thing. This one takes a screw-in switch instead of a tapered pipe plug. Don't use this. So this here is an 1/8 inch pipe thread, which is 27 threads per inch, and you jam that in there like that, and people would just jam these things in there and make them work, but that's not what this is. This is actually a 3/8 24 thread, which is the same as the bolt over here. See, it's a 3/8 24 thread. Totally different thread than 1/8 inch 27. Tapered pipe. So 3 threads different per inch. This takes like a seal. It has a copper washer, goes down and seals the switch, and has a straight thread on the switch. So when you got these early pumps, make sure you put the correct switch in there. Harley didn't go to this tapered pipe one until I think 65. So only the last couple of years these iron pumps actually came with a switch made like this. Whenever you see the oil pump surface here is machined flat, it takes the screw-in style one. If it has just unmachined surface, just a hole in it, then it would take a pipe thread like this one. You know, like up here where it's just unmachined, it just has a hole. That's what this would take, something like this. This is an 1/8 27 thread here also, but we're hitting the case, so you can't just put it in there. But that goes right in there like that. So that would fit right in there like that because that's the right thread. So when you see an oil pump that's machined like this, no machining on it, it takes this. When you got a washer surface, it takes a bolt, a screw-in style one with a bolt, and it's flat surface. So the switch is going to have a flat sealing surface where it would thread in, and then it would have a brass washer and tighten up against the washer to seal it. So 2 different ways of doing it. So don't mix your parts. That one, obviously, he thought I was going to put that in there. I'm not putting that in there. And this pump is still good. It hasn't been screwed up yet, so I'm not screwing it up. Okay, so this stuff here goes down here in the breather cavity down here. So I'm going to go ahead and work on that. Take this back apart again. Hopefully for the last time. Someone said I need an engine stand. I don't know why. It's a lot easier working on this like this. Of course, I have an engine stand right here under the engine. That works good when you're putting top ends on. When you're doing low range and moving the motor all over the place, I like having them sitting on the bench like this. Another guy said I was scraping my motor all up on the bottom. Yeah, well, there's no marks down there though. How can I be scraping it up? A smooth surface steel bench doesn't leave marks. You could have a wood bench with a bunch of crap in it that would leave marks in your case. Get a bunch of dirt embedded in your wood. Alright, that's off. Put the gear load back there and get the street arrow behind it, like before. Pop off. So we get a little help initially by getting it right here. Pops it right out. We want the cam to stay in there, so we're going to let gravity help us. Gasket stuck, there it is. Cover come off. See, the gasket got wet from oil, from someone put oil all over everything. We are going to use this gasket again, so we're just going to wipe the oil off of it. Be careful when you're pulling on that too hard. Instead of pulling the rag, just kind of go back and forth with your fingers like this. Wipes it. Because with this gasket's all clearance, everything in here is clearance for this gasket thickness. So if I was going to change this gasket, I go and measure and make sure I get one that comes out the same dimensions. Within a couple thousandths, because we got a couple thou clearance on this gear. That's all I got is a couple thousandths. So it could be a thicker gasket, but not thinner. Thinner is going to be a problem. I'll have to reshim that gear if you go thinner. Because I got everything set pretty low on our clearances. We'll wipe off the oil so we can go ahead and just put the sealer on that here in a little bit. And probably put a little solvent on there to knock that down a little bit because it's going to stick to the oil. If I didn't pour so much oil in the gears there when I lubricate, I wouldn't have this problem. But get a little carried away with the oil. Solvent right there. Through here. Well, brake clean does the same thing. Get our clean rag out now. Okay, we're all good for sealer. Okay. Now, what we're doing here, we have a breather hole here that comes out over here, goes in this cavity, comes down here, and comes out on this other side over here, lubricate your chain. So it all comes through here. The later bikes, it just comes out the back here. So that's this tube here. Now the breather valve up in here rotates and shuts the flow on and off, and it'll suck the oil out of this hole right here. It'll draw a vacuum in this crankcase. This is the crankcase, this flywheel cavity. So when the pistons go up, you get a vacuum in here if you close the valve. So if you close that valve over here, the one that's down in there you can't really see. Right down there, right now it's closed. I don't know if you can see in there. There we go. So if you rotate this, you see it open up. See how the screen right there opens up and it closes again. So that's called timing your breather. So when you have a draw up there, it'll suck oil out of this hole, and it blows it sucks the oil out of here. The oil comes in through here, through the breather cavity, and the cam cover. Goes through the scaler here, comes out that tube. This tube here is right up in this other corner right here, like this. The air goes down, hits the case, comes back out, goes out that hole, and comes out over here, way over there. And then the oil pump has an adjustment screw here that will put some extra oil into the breather air to help lubricate your chain if you need it. I touched something with oil on it. Probably that loose fitting right there. Oh, I got to work on that. I forgot about that. This fitting hits the bottom of the case. I need to dimple it a little bit so I can tighten the fitting up. I forgot about that. So the oil will drop out with these two tubes being crossed. The oil will separate out, drop down, fill this cavity up. If this hole here wasn't sucking the stuff back out, it would just fill back up until it's full and it would drain out the back. So that's how that works. When you have the breather holes all bad, or if you got piston rings that are not working right, you don't get any vacuum over there, just pressure, then this doesn't drain out correctly. It fills up full of oil in here and just starts puking oil out the side. So that's why you get oil coming out your breather. Now this screen right here is supposed to help keep things from mixing and matching too much. So this goes in here like that. The problem is this goes down over here, the tubes are up here. How is that going to separate the air and oil mix? It's not. It's going to go in the hole and out the other hole. So ideally you'd want to have this thing separate into two tubes so the air would have to go through the screen, which would help separate the oil out of it. But that's not how it works. It goes in like this. So basically just keeps this oil here from excuse me, from sucking, bouncing back up in the hole. And also the other thing is it kind of sort of separates the chamber up a little bit, so it'll draw more of a vacuum here than having to vacuumize the whole world over here. But in the real world, it doesn't really do that because there's so much clearance and all this stuff. It doesn't really seal. So this really doesn't really do that much. In 70, Harley eliminated it. They didn't need it. And all the way through 92, they didn't use it again. What they did do in the 80s, mid 80s, early 80s, they had a lot of oil problem. They actually had a auger style dampener went inside this hole right here, about that long. So they had like an auger style muffler, if you've ever seen one of those. And that helped stop the airflow going directly through your cam cover right out this hole. It slowed the oil down, which allowed the oil to drip out of here, and it helped separate it. So, but they didn't do that until the mid 80s. So, something they did on Evo bikes. So you can put that in here if you want. If you have a problem, that would help probably a little bit, and you can put that in there. But having a screen here doesn't really make any difference whether it's there or not. So if I don't have these, I don't use them. If I do have them, I put them in. So the screen has to wrap around this. When you push this in here, this is like a spring that keeps tension on it. That's all it does. So that's what we're going to do here. So the screen here is, now this is a steel screen, and the older ones, they were actually brass. The real early stuff. Okay, so this here is supposed to wrap around this thing here. I have no idea how that's going to wrap around that because it's too damn short to do anything. Thought I had that the other day where it went around it, but obviously not. See, it's not long enough to wrap all the way around and have tension on it. So what if we put this thing in backwards? That's not how it's supposed to go, but I think it's long enough to make it that way. The screen's too short to have any tension on it. It doesn't work. You've got to hold it in somehow. Thought I had this thing wrapped around it when I found it a couple days ago, but it's not long enough to wrap around unless this thing bends back quite a bit, which I don't think it will. Okay, that goes in there like that. It basically just sits in there like this. These always go in first. I've seen them like that. I've seen them in here cut them at an angle like that, but they pretty much fit like this. So and the screen goes in between those two pieces, two surfaces there to help hold it. So I don't think I get enough tension to go that side. If I put it on the other side, it might hold it. The trick is to get it in there with tension on it so it stays put and not just rattle around in the hole. Screen needs to be a good 1/8 of an inch longer to do it correctly, but it doesn't have to be correct as long as it's tight. And that edge is sharp when you're pushing on that surface. I'll put the screen in first, then put this in there. I try to do it that way, but if I squeeze that flatter, it'll put tension on it. Okay, so right now I got jammed under here, jammed under here. So the tube will go right across there, this other tube. So if I take a pair of pliers and flatten that curve out, it'll put more tension on the sides and do what I want. Okay. Appears to be in there pretty good. Not going anywhere, so I'm good with that. Okay, now you want to make sure this will actually clear that. So, okay, yep, it goes right down next to it there, so it should have clearance to work. Alright, so that's in there like it's supposed to be.